I welcome you to this new lecture that happens to be the third in this series related to the history of Arabic literature. We can simply recollect the last lecture that was related to the tribal system among Arabian peoples. So we had seen the Adnani and Qahtani tribes, and the last thing that we should recollect is that we have the concept of Arab skulls, Jamajim al-Arab, that is everywhere in the modern world. If we have the Arabs, they have their ancestry, and if this ancestry is to be scrutinized on the historical lines, on lines of the scientific evidence, of historical evidences, then they have to trace their ancestry to either the Adnanis or the Qahtanis. Hence, all these peoples now living in Arabia or in the Afro Asian countries or Afro-Mediterranean region like Algeria, Tunisia, etc., they will be tracing their ancestry to the Arab tribes. So, on the historical lines, it can be established with the as it is related to the Arab skulls or Jamajim al-Arab. In pre-Islamic Arabia, we have many inscriptions, and if we just enumerate them, we'll find that they are thousands in numbers. There are approximately 15,000 inscriptions known from pre-Islamic South Arabia. Of these, 7,500 have been digitalized into the Corpus of South Arabian Inscriptions (CAI) project. In total, the number of published inscriptions has been given as 10,000 or even 12,000. Of all South Arabian languages, Sabaik is represented by the largest number of the inscriptions. And it must be recollected that the Sabaean inscriptions are related to the earliest standard Arabic, which is classified into the first category of Arabs, that is Al-Arab Al-Araba, who also happen to be Al-Ba'ida, Al-Arab Al-Ba'ida, because no human settlements in continuity is to be found in modern day geographical landscape of Arabia, or say even we won't be finding any traces of them in terms of details, locations, legacy recorded in the Middle Ages sources in Arabic or in any other languages, European languages or the Eastern languages. So we will be having the inscriptions. One of the foremost heritage archaeological specimen that have arrived to us is the Mahram Bilqis, or the Awam temple, which was discovered in Ma'rib, Yemen. It was built during the time of that is Malkai Bilqis, or the Queen Bilqis, 1500 to 1200 BCE. So this is an example of archaeology. The Sabaik inscriptions we can find in these examples. So what is to be clearly seen is that we have now we have the Arabic alphabet, but compared to this, we find that this alphabet is quite different from the Arabic alphabet as we find in our times. There is another example of the Sabaic bronze plaque, and it is preserved in the Louvre Museum of Paris. So here the letters are quite visible, and we can distinguish it from the other types of letters as we find in modern day Arabic language or the Arabic alphabet. So it is quite different. So just to compare this, that is the Sabaic plaque, these like this one, which is so we can find that it is quite different from the Arabic as we have now. Now look at this. This is the alif from the just a minute, I'm sorry. Well, we're just talking about these inscriptions. So these are the Sabaic inscriptions. So these are the letters. This one, this one. These are the letters, different letters. These are. Just compare these letters with some of the earliest sort of the calligraphy or the way Arabic language was written as it is represented in the leaves of the Holy Quran in several manuscripts. As we find in Khat-e Kufi, that is the Kufi script, which is known as Al-Khat al-Kufi, we can simply find that there's a huge gap between this script and the script as we find in the early, rather the earliest script in which Quran was calligraphed, as we find in the Blue Quran. Besides some fragments of the copy of the Quran that is ascribed to the fourth caliph in the history of Islam, that is Hazrat Ali, which is preserved in its original in Maulana Azad Library of Aligarh Muslim University. So it is again written in Al-Khat al-Kufi. So here we find a difference between Al-Khat al-Sabai, as we find over here, and Al-Khat al-Kufi. This can be compared to the another version of Al-Khat al-Arabi, that is the version of the Holy Quran ascribed to Hazrat Osman ibn Affan. It is stored at the Topkapi Palace Shrine of the Sacred Relics, Istanbul. So you have this. You can have another example of that in Tashkent, where the very version that was cited Hazrat Osman while he was assassinated, where some marks or traces of his blood could also be found still today. So it is preserved in the Tashkent library. I have visited this place and seen that version of the Holy Quran. So again, we can simply find the huge gap between these letters as well as the Sabaic letters, which are classified by the historians as the earliest specimen of the written Arabic, belonging to the very first phase, that is Al-Arab al-Ba'ida. Then we have this Namara inscription. This Namara inscription is very much close to modern Arabic, although it happens to be something in between modern Arabic. Arabic as we have with the advent of Islam, and Arabic that was sometime before that. That happens between the Arabic script and the Nabatean script. So where it happens to be a mix of the two. So here again is this the difference. This is the original of the Namara inscription in basalt, and it is preserved in Louvre Museum. Qaryatul Fa'u is associated with Imrul Qais, the foremost poet in pre-Islamic Arabia among the Jahiliyyah poets. Ashab al-Mu'allaqat, among Ashab al-Mu'allaqat. So he had this kingdom in Al-Kinda, especially in this has been now located in Qaryatul Fa'u in modern day Saudi Arabia. قرية الفاو هذه هي يعني أشار المؤرخون أن هذا الأثر التاريخي، هذا المكان الأثري التاريخي يرجع أصلا إلى مملكة كندا، بقايا مملكة كندا التي كان ينتمي إليها الشاعر الجاهلي الكبير الذي كان من أصحاب المعلقات وإمر القيس الكندي. وجدت في هذه القرية الكثير من الآثار، فهي في الحقيقة تدل على المكانة التاريخية لهذه المنطقة والقيمة التاريخية الأثرية الكبرى لهذه القرية أو لهذه المملكة. Besides that, we'll be having the Petra city in Jordan and the Madain Saleh in modern day Saudi Arabia, the rock inscriptions in Madain Saleh, Qasr al-Farid in Al-Ula, which is nearby Medina. And it must be noted that these monuments are related to those nations, some of whom has been mentioned in the Holy Quran. إنهم كانوا ينحتون من الجبال بيوتا آمنين، يعني حيث أن هذه الأقوام كانوا ينحتون من الجبال بيوتا آمنين. فهناك العديد من المدن، منها ما نجده حاليا في الأردن مثلا في البتراء، ومنها ما نجدها في السعودية، ومنها ما نجدها في أماكن أخرى مثل عمان حاليا. يعني فهذه هي الأماكن التاريخية الكثيرة التي يعني أشار إليها المؤرخون بأنها هي التي أشار إليها القرآن الكريم بقوله إنهم كانوا ينحتون من الجبال بيوتا آمنين. So the most important thing is that these very much these archaeological sites are related to the early phase of Arabian peoples who are located now in different parts of modern day Arabia. We have seen the Lakhmide kingdom. So the Lakhmide of Al-Hira with their castle that is known as Al-Khawarnaq alongside As-Sadir, the mention of which has been found in some poetry, pre-Islamic Arabic poetry. إذا انتشيت فإنني رب الخورنق والسدير وإذا صحوت فإنني رب الشويهة والبعير. One poet says something like that. He says that when I'm intoxicated, I just feel myself, imagine myself to be the lord of Khawarnaq and Sadir. But when this is gone, then or I regain my senses, I simply find myself as a herder of the sheep, a sheep herder. إذا انتشيت فإنني رب الخورنق والسدير وإذا صحوت فإنني رب الشويهة والبعير. So in some Arabic sources as well as Persian sources, we'll be having these informations. Besides an image of this in a Persian source. So the historicity of Arabic literature is represented by many perspectives, some of which we have already described. That is the Arabic language and the questions of interaction. There have been interaction between Arabic and non-Arabic languages. And this theme, that is the Ash'ar Diwan al-Arab, besides the prose and the sources of Arabic literature and the ways of authentication, how to authenticate the things. These are some of the things, perspectives that we should take account of after passing to the main domains of thought or the coverage related to Arabic, history of Arabic language and literature. Related to poetry, we have the Jahiliya poetry. The significant thing is that the Jahiliya poetry, which constitutes the first core of a classical poetry, it is represented in 16 scansion patterns or Awzan al-Tashji' or al-Qawafi, which came to be known or classified at a later stage as the Khalilian prosody, Al-Awzan al-Khaliliya. Why Al-Awzan al-Khaliliya? Because they were elaborated for the first time or codified for the first time. Not invented, of course, because the patterns were there. He actually classified them, analyzed them, and classified them, and gave them the nomenclature. So that's why they are known as the Al-Awzan al-Khaliliya or the Khalilian prosody. Khalil ibn Ahmad al-Farahidi was born in 718 and he died in 719. He was a very prolific writer and man of letters of Basra, and he's better known for his book, that is Kitab al-Ain. This Kitab al-Ain, although it is designated as a book an exegesis, Arabic exegesis or mu'jam, but it surpasses the narrow boundaries of or the well-defined boundaries of mu'jam or al-mu'jamiyya, and it happens to be a mudawwana or grand book of many things related to Arabic language and literature and poetry, also rhetoric. Then we have the poets, the Ashab al-Mu'allaqat, Imru al-Qais, al-Nabigha, al-Asha, Tarafa, Zuhair ibn Abi Sulma, al-Musani, Antar ibn Shaddad al-Abasi, Warwa al-Ward. The Sa'alik poet like Ta'abbat al-Sharra, Shanfara al-Azdi and others. Then this very concept, that is the Shi'ru Diwan al-Arab. The Mu'allaqat poetry is the most celebrated part of Arabic poetry that has arrived to us from the pre-Islamic period. The Arabic poetry consists of the Mu'allaqat, is constituted by Mu'allaqat, primarily the Mu'allaqat. They are 7 in numbers. Sometimes they are enumerated as 9, sometimes it is 10. Then we have the Madayih, or they are the panegyrics. We have the satire, that is Al-Haja. We have the nature prelude, that is Shi'r al-Tabi'a, in which the poet depicts the nature. It is the landscape, it is the desert, and anything that is related to the atmosphere. The love of poetry, Shi'r al-Hubb, also Al-Ghazal, it's also known as Al-Ghazal or An-Nasib. We have the political poetry, that is Ash-Shi'r al-Siyasi, or poetry related to the political atmosphere of the country. Although we will finding that it was only later during the Umayyad period that we find something known as the political poetry. الشعر السياسي يعني حينما أصبح المجتمع العربي في الحقيقة مؤسسا على الاتجاهات السياسية، الدوافع السياسية، الخلفية السياسية والمشهد السياسي، بعد ذلك كان يعني هناك الشعر السياسي، ولكن قبل ذلك يعني لم يكن هناك ما يسمى بهذا الاسم بالضبط منهجيا، ولكن الأساس كان موجودا، يعني حيث أن المجتمع الإنساني لا يخلو من الأوجه السياسية. إذا ما كان الأمر مرتبطا بتدبير الأمور في الصحة المجتمعية، إدارة الأمور المدنية الاجتماعية، فهذا في الحقيقة شيء لا يخلو عنه أي مجتمع من المجتمعات الإنسانية، ما نسميها باسم خاص في العصر الحالي أو عكس ذلك. Then we have the philosophical poetry. We have the khamriyat, especially khamriyat developed, or the wine poetry, especially developed during the Abbasid times. We have the ghilmaniyat, the sort of astray love that goes beyond the traditional love and types of love, where the object or the subject happens to be the male, not the female. So this has been designated as al-ghilmaniyat. Also, it is known as al-ghazal al-muzakkar. It was a byproduct of the mixed society that we had during the Abbasid times. Then we have the Sufi poetry, because Sufism emerged at the time, and became something very prominent in society, both in the domain of the cognitives, the thought, the philosophy of life. So Sufi poetry was there with many names like Hallaj. We have the very prominent figure of Hallaj during the Abbasid times, and we have Ibn al-Farid among other very prominent Sufi poets, as we have Sheikh Muhyiddin ibn Arabi among the very, very prominent Sufi poets, especially in his diwan, that is Tarjuman al-Ashwaq, which has been translated into English. Also, among others, like Al-Hallaj. Al-Hallaj has been dealt with extensively by the Orientalists, chiefly the French Orientalist, or the scholars of Islam and Sufism. So we have this Sufi poetry. Then we have philosophical poetry, chiefly represented by Abu al-Ala al-Ma'arri, who was very much given to Indian philosophical systems. And then we have Muashahat, which is a byproduct of Andalusia or Spain. Al-Muashahat, which was something new, because it went a little bit against the traditional scansion system, where the last line, one of the lines happened to be in non-Arabic. So it was something like mixing Arabic with the non-Arabic. Then we have Azjal. Azjal was something quite different. It happened to be in vernacular, combining between Arabic vernacular and non-Arabic vernacular. Urjuzat, we have versifications without being poetry, without being refined poetry, with the philosophical notions and specific parameters of scansion. They are divided into several categories, like the pedagogical, the mystic, the scientific, in which they simply composed the data, the scientific data, into poetic lines, like باو تاو كاف لام واو مزخلا رب حاشا من عدا فيان على حتى إلى. In these two lines, the poet simply composes, versifies the information, or it is as it has مبني عباشد के मानत बरकरार معرب عباشد के गर्दत बार बार. So these things are known as urjuzat. We have Alfiya. We have a tremendous legacy of urjuzat in Arabic literature. We have urjuzat in nahw, in grammar. We have urjuzat in al-fiqh. We have urjuzat in hadith. We have urjuzat in tarikh, history. So this is again something very significant. Even we have urjuzat in mathematics, in mathematical sciences. So in the Arabic prose, we'll be having the oratory represented by Qus ibn Sa'ada al-Iyadi, Aktham Sayfi, Amr ibn Ma'di Karib al-Zubaydi. The soothsayings represented by Zaqal Yamama, Juzayb al-Abrash, Khanafir ibn Tawam al-Himyari, Musaylim al-Kadhab. And we'll be having many examples while we'll be dealing with these topics. As we'll be having the idioms and aphorisms and correspondences among the Arabic literary traditions before Islam and early Islamic period. As we'll be having the religious literature, the grammar, the rhetoric, the literary prose, the ornate prose represented by maqamat, literary criticism. Besides the sciences in physics and biology and chemistry and mathematics and engineering and medicine and astrology, in which we'll be having numerous encyclopedias alongside the Sufi literature, and the travelogues, the history, the geography, the philosophy, the logic, the translations from Greek, from different languages like Greek and also Sanskrit, because several books from Sanskrit were translated during the Abbasid times, either by the individuals or by the society. So like Panchatantra was translated by Abdullah ibn al-Muqaffa. And during the Abbasid times, in the Abbasid court, several translators translated the Indian legacy into Arabic. Indian legacy, that is Sanskrit legacy, into Arabic. We'll be having many examples of that while we're talking about the theme, deliberating upon the theme related to the Abbasid times. Then we have the Arabic literature in Europe, especially, that is in Spain, in Provence, that is the south of France, then Sicily and the troubadours, the translations, schools of Palermo, Toledo, Paris, etc. Latin Iberism, that is the Latin school of Ibn Sina, of Ibn Rushd, then the Latin Iberism, that is the Avicennism, that is the Latin school of Ibn Sina, and Orientalism, because that legacy of Islam and Arabism, Arabic language and literature in Europe formulated primarily the basis of a discourse that emerged, that came to be known after that as Orientalism. So then, of course, we'll be having the non-Arab East, that is Anatolia, Persia, Transoxiana, Indian subcontinent, South Asia, China, and the development of Arabic language and literature in these areas. Alongside the Arab diaspora is spread now everywhere in the modern world, in Europe, in Americas, in Australia. Then we'll be going through the primary sources, that is Al-Asma'i, Mufaddal al-Dabbi, Abu Zaid al-Qurashi, Abu Tammam, Muhammad ibn Salam al-Jumahi, Ibn Qutayba, among others. So these will be the things we'll be going through, and these things actually highlight the grandeur of that legacy associated with Arabic language and literature, to which we are just having sort of a prolegomena or muqaddima in this lecture. Other things would be followed in the second lecture, in the fourth lecture, of course. So with this, we conclude this third lecture. Thank you.